Hello and welcome to episode 37 of The Old World Lives, a Warhammer Fantasy podcast. And I am Chris, and I'm slightly melting. And with me tonight, I have someone that might also be melting, and that's Niklas.
Hello, I am better now. It used to be really warm here a couple of days ago, but thankfully, finally got some rain, and we are now able to sit down in front of a computer to record without dying.
Yeah, it's that is probably one of the reasons why we have had this little gap in recordings. That's been just too warm. Days just passing by, having no focus and stuff like that, just fading in and out.
Yeah. So as our dear listeners might have noticed, we haven't released an episode in a while. We have tried, but things have gone in the way like 4 times. And we're like, oh yeah, we'll just do it soon. And soon, trademark, turned out to be almost 2 months now.
Yeah. Feature favorites have been, sorry, I just fell asleep at 7 p.m. and woke up at 2 a.m. That's lovely. Not at all a bit stressful, and so this summer. But speaking of stressful, I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but have you been doing anything fun in the hobby lately, Niklas?
Yeah, I mean, well, I would like to share some news first, that I am moving back to Sweden soon. So before that happens, I want to just play as much Warhammer here as possible. So I've been doing just that. I mean, playing like crazy. Playing some Warhammer as well.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been really good.
I'm sure there can be arrangements made to play more time in Sweden as well.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to playing in Sweden as well. But it's been really great here that England has opened up pretty recently, allowing us to play. So we've been in like some weird state of lockdown for a long time now, and then finally we're allowed to go out. So I've just been trying to play as much as legally possible.
Yeah, it's all in all, the past year and a half has been interesting, haven't it?
Yeah. There's like such a nice thing going on here before we went into lockdowns as well. So it's been trying to make up for lost time now.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it way back when, before all of this. But yeah, we had some plans on a lot of gaming and a lot of different kinds of gaming, and maybe having events and things like that. But we'll see. If everything keeps going in the right direction, it might be easier to at least meet for podcast games in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to try and set up some gaming when I get back. It'd be cool to host like a tournament or just an event somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe have some of the guys from England over. Really nice.
Yeah, that isn't too far-fetched an idea. It's happened before, and it probably will happen again.
Yeah.
Might have to wait until we can actually restock beer in Sweden, though.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. It's not a thing they will put on the traveling brochure. Severe lack of cans.
Yeah.
There's this event that I'm going to soon, hosted by Joseph Bang, known from bringing back 6th edition, and I mentioned him probably 100 times in this podcast. Great guy that is hosting an event called...
He's been on the podcast, hasn't he?
Yes, yeah, he's even been on the podcast to talk about the event. He is hosting an event called Monsters Mayhem, which is like a tournament, but you have to bring at least one large target. And then he's added a bunch of special rules for killing large targets and large targets killing other stuff.
Nice.
And that's basically just before I go back to Sweden. I'm really happy that it's happening because me and Joseph did the Albion event together. And even back then, he mentioned that he wanted to do this kind of event with monsters. So I'm really glad it's happening and I'm here for it before I go. So I've been playing some games with those kind of lists. So I'm playing my dwarves, but he allowed dwarves to take giants. So I've been using a giant. It's been a lot of fun. Nice to use something new for the dwarves.
Ooh, you should have made it like a golem, like one of those giant statues.
Don't do us.
Yeah, that would be if you ever do this again, you should just do a custom giant dwarf statue that comes to life.
Yeah, might fit better with 8th edition if you can. I was thinking about that, if you can those war scrolls for Storm and Magic, if there's something that will fit in there. Maybe the orc thing, because you use those for every faction. I think they're not faction map. We could just use the orc thing for that. But the Slayer that I'm going to use is the one I painted for the Albion event for Joseph. So it's Joseph Giant that I painted. And he is ginger because he's from Albion. So I have the story that he saw some Slayers and thought that they were awesome. So he wanted to be a Slayer. So he is a giant Slayer.
Yeah, sure, why not?
So, yeah, just for the pun.
Yeah, but it's always good to have a bit of a story to make it fit better, I think.
Yeah.
Giant has to be on the same side as the dwarves in that case.
I don't necessarily think that all giants are inherently evil as well. I mean, they probably
they're just stupid.
The dwarves. If it was offered beer. So yeah. I'm looking forward
on
to
the
that.
other hand, the dwarves do have a kind of a Slayer that's specialized in killing giants.
I mean, yeah. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what were we talking about before I said I was going back to Sweden?
Yeah, recent things you've done in the hobby, pretty much. Because we were talking about the events and stuff like that.
Painted some more dwarves as well. So I bought a flame cannon in Gothenburg for Jimmy, and then I went back to England, and then COVID happened, and he was supposed to come and get it in England when he was visiting, but then COVID happened, and the trip was cancelled, and then years passed before our eyes, and I still had this flame cannon, and then Jimmy bought his own flame cannon, and then we're like, well, okay, I'll just buy the flame cannon off of you, Jimmy, and use it myself. There's no point in...
he's also got several versions of the flame cannon, because he has both the old flame cannon and the newer flame cannon.
Yeah, Jimmy is gone dwarf crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah.
His army probably rivals mine now, one more. No.
Well, it's Jimmy knowing his when he managed to get something painted, because he's been like us. That might not have been all too much happening in the hobby front, because it's been just a bit life and heat doesn't mix with heat. The hobby.
Yes.
But
it's crazy though.
Yeah.
He's supposed to paint his Middenheimers, and then he's like, no, I don't want to paint those. I'll just paint this Chaos Army and the Dwarf Army instead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna paint paint 3,000 points of dwarves. Well, yeah, fine. Now, and he would have told people if he were on this episode, but he isn't. He's going to an event soon, and he's gonna play dwarves.
Yeah.
He's gonna just use a massive block of hammers. Not enough to make a horde, but still massive block of hammers.
It's my hometown.
Yeah.
I've been there a long time, but yeah, they're big into 8th edition, so he has to get what he can, play some 8th.
I was thinking of going because I had some spots open, and Jimmy said, "Well, you could probably borrow army of mine if you don't have finished all your elves enough." And then I just looked. Yeah, you have to just read through this little thing called Swedish Comp, and I just thought, nah, I can't be bothered.
Yeah, it's not just going there and playing the game and learning the 8th edition ways, but you also have to learn this comp system. Because I don't know how it works. I think it's similar to what 40k used to be, but you use it for every game as well. So you calculate the difference in comp. So even if you lose, you can get some points and stuff. I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, but you just looked at it and felt like this isn't my kind of event. I know that those people that go to those events usually do it because they want to have competitive games, and I'm not in that mood, ever. I don't mind winning. I don't mind losing. I don't mind I just want to have the most amount of fun, and I don't really feel like it's fun when you have to calculate every single point on your list to see if it's supposed to be there, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it's also a force of habit for them. They know it by heart, so yeah, it's no biggie. But going into it is a bit intimidating to think that people will make a good list. Yeah.
To be fair, there were things like that around when I used to play, but I got out of Warhammer in the beginning of 7th, So it's too long since, so I've forgotten everything about that kind of stuff. But we'll see. One day, perhaps.
Yeah. There was never such a thing for 6th edition, right?
Probably was. But you know how people feel about special characters in 6th? That's more or less it.
Yeah.
But some of the special characters in 6th are game changing, and some of them don't matter.
Damn you, Techless, you ruined special characters for everyone.
Yeah, or Tyrion for that reason.
Yeah, goddamn elves.
Yeah, or Zacharias the Ever-Living.
Okay, I think people tune into this episode because they've seen the news and they want to hear our take on it.
Yeah, but first, I've actually done things in the hobby.
Oh, go on. I was waiting for that. And you're talking about this event.
I bought paint. That counts, right?
Definitely counts.
Yeah.
Well, only if it's going to be used for fantasy.
Yeah, probably. Because I bought metallics.
All right. It's good. What brand? Metallics is always an interesting.
Oh, these ones were actually G-Dub.
Yeah.
These metallics.
They do good metals, but then they dry out. Like I opened my Stormhouse Silver now, and it's like, God damn you. It's dry. You just turn lumpy after a while.
Yeah. They tend to. I also had to buy some new paints because some dried because it was too hot in my hobby. So yeah, but I've also been mainly it's been the Dominion box from Age of Sigmar because the models are great, but those are not really fantasy. So
no, great orcs though. Really like those orcs. They're growing on me.
Yeah, the orcs. I still can't even bear to look at the hobgoblins or hobgrots, whatever they're called. I find they look so ridiculous.
Yeah, they're very like you look at them and you're like, that's not an animally correct.
But I think it's
not supposed to be.
I think it's partly the paint job from the.
Yeah.
Because I have seen them painted in other paint jobs and they look better. They don't look good. They look better. But yeah,
I like them. They're vicious looking.
They look like some kind of useless enemy from a show like Rick and Morty or something like that.
Yes, I don't disagree.
But on the other hand, some people might like that. I don't. That's a personal preference. They're great models. I just don't like how they look. So put it like that. But I have converted Indrasta. I always get that wrong. And that the model is great. It's such a good model. And I really, really wish I could fit her on a 20mm base and use her for Warhammer Armies Project Estalia. Because there's a character in that book that is pretty much the same character, but smaller.
Well, you need to 3D scan her and then shrink it and then print it.
And then get slapped by a cease and desist letter from the lawyers, you mean?
Well, only if you sell it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And as long as I don't put any scale reference next to the model, it should be fine. Joke aside, I've also sorted so I can have 2 units of 5 cavalry for like silver helms, which is nice.
Nice.
And they're going to be what I'm doing next. I just don't want to paint those horses. They're massive compared to the regular silver helms ones. But yeah, that's it. There hasn't been much going on since, the hobby room's pretty much the warmest room in the apartment for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It's finally cool enough to paint. Just painting on my White Dwarf right now.
Nice.
The anniversary edition. It's been half painted on my desk forever. So now, before I leave, I need to finish it.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Okay, but we need to talk about the news. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, this is the mini that's almost getting you into orcs.
But no, not that. Not those news, Chris.
Yeah, but this one is quick. We can just.
Okay, let's do it. But then you need to stop throwing things my way.
Yeah.
I need to.
The Corpse Rip-Up Vulture, which is just orc on bird. It's a really great model.
Man, that's a way better name. Just orc on bird.
Yeah, but this one is in English.
Oh, this, yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. And a lot of fantasy people seem to like it because I saw a bunch of people like, oh, I can use this for that thing. Oh, I can use it for this thing.
Yeah, I've heard winged nightmares. I've heard zombie dragons, depending on how big it is. I've heard
just
someone. someone said that you just could put like an orc warboss on a wyvern, and coincidentally, it comes with a generic guy riding it as well, which is an orc warboss, pretty much.
Yeah, it's great. Really like it. Don't know what else to say. It's just vicious looking.
Yeah, and we know that there's been and going to be quite a lot of nice releases for the what are they called? The Cruel Boys, I think, for Age of Sigmar, and we will talk about those in a future episode because we're going to talk about something way more interesting right now.
Yes. Hashtag Kislev Ascendant. Is that the catchphrase? Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, the first update of a proper update of the old world for a while now. The previous one was which one?
The previous one was
First look at the map, Bretonia.
Yeah, I think so. Or
so it's Bretonia, cartography, and then bears, and the first Kislev one.
Yeah, you got the ice card was in March last year. The other one was the cartography was in February, and the Bretonia was in December. So it's they do string us along a bit, so to speak.
Yeah.
This little Square Base and Kislev Ascendant. See your questions about Warhammer: The Old World answered by Andy Hoare.
Yeah, and what an update! It's awesome. It's like confirming all the cornerstones of the game that people wanted to hear, or should I say, what most people wanted to hear.
I've heard so many comments that is, oh, so we have to rebase our armies again? No, you didn't have to rebase them the first time. It's up to you. No one forced you to rebase your army.
Yeah. Well, let's just go through what this update say, and then we'll get on to the comments that followed. Basically, they said that Kislev is awesome, as most of us already knew. But Kislev is like a much bigger power before the Great War of Chaos.
It's massive. Kislev it's massive.
I mean, the funny thing is, we did the Great War of Chaos episode, our last episode, right before this released. And I was like, oh yeah, Kislev's so big. It's like up to Prague and a bit more. But it's like, I had no idea. It's fucking massive.
Yeah, the entire troll country. And then to the World's Edge Mountains.
Yeah, and past the World's Edge Mountains, past the Mountains of Morn.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like the whole north cap. It's like all of Siberia in our world.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's mad. So, I'm super excited about that. But most people didn't care about Kislev per se in this update because there were many other things that got confirmed that made people very excited. So if everything comes around, even squares wasn't enough to tell people that it's going to be on square bases. They spelled out that it will be on square bases twice.
Yeah. But if you have rebased your armies to square or circles, the run bases, you could probably just get someone with nice person with a 3D printer or something to make an adapter movement tray, because I doubt they were gonna force you to play without movement trays anyway.
Yeah, and there's a laser cut MDF you can get for that as well.
Yeah,
really great.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fantastic. I just commenting on people saying that some people commented that they are disappointed that it will be squares. And I could see it being in rounds because the middle alert system is in rounds. And that's a great close combat system.
Yeah.
That's not just aura based like Age of Sigmar or 40k. But
they have square movement trays and round bases, right? So you can play either the battle game or the skirmish game. Is the battle game even a thing anymore? I think I have no idea, but I think that was the reasons from the beginning why they had round bases with square movement trays.
Yeah, they used to. Yeah, they made a bigger scale game, and I remember I used to play it right before that launched. It's called War of the Ring, I think. But it was a pretty crap system compared to the original.
I think doesn't Conquest and what is it called? Song of Fire, Ice and Fire game have round bases and square movement trays as well, I think. So it would have been.
Yeah.
There are precedents in modern game design that utilize round bases, square movement trays.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing though, like with Warhammer Fantasy, is that the square bases are too iconic, I think, not to use.
Yeah.
And it would piss a lot of the old fans off. And I mean, they are the people that they are catering this game to. They already have the people that like round bases in their pocket. I mean, that market's already theirs. They don't need to convince them to start this game.
And if you look at it like this, if you want to use an Age of Sigmar army for fantasy, you probably will have to use the right one as well, because some of them doesn't exist and doesn't fit the aesthetic of the old world.
Yeah.
But with that said, if you do want to multi-base, so to speak, you can either magnetize every single model or use custom movement trays. So it's not that big a problem, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most people are excited about the square bases. I am, but mostly because of the reasons that are coming after this.
Well, there's one thing more with the square bases that I would like. If they change the smallest one to 25 millimeters. Because there are models released or even in 7th edition that doesn't fit on 20 millimeter squares, that comes with 20 millimeter squares.
Yeah, that would be a massive pain for my dwarves, but if they did like a converting movement tray for that, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but then you could, as I say, then you could probably do it with a movement tray. But for newer releases or newer models, if they don't stick with the just straight up closed formations with models that look exactly the same, they won't fit on the bases.
Yeah, it's quite obvious that Games Workshop's design philosophy has increased in scale.
Yeah, but as I said, not only the scale increase, it's also poses and the fact that not all of the plastic releases fit on the square bases that they came with. They were used on that because they replaced a similar one before.
Yeah, but it's like those Chaos Wars that I got. They do fit if you align them perfectly, and then you cannot add any more guys to the regiment.
Yeah, that's beautiful. But what about scale? Have they mentioned scale?
They did mention scale, which is, I don't even know how this rumor started that it would be a smaller scale.
I think it was him. It was him.
Yeah, he certainly proliferated it. It's like someone. It's like a lot of rumors with this. Like someone just like thinks aloud and just project what they think will happen with the game, and then say that is certainly what's going to happen because they think that will happen. And one of these rumors was that it was going to be a smaller scale. And I don't know how they arrived at 15 millimeter. I mean, they did do a fantasy game, War Master, that was 10, I think. Yeah. So they were like, oh yeah, and surely they must make this game smaller for some reason. And now they confirmed that no, it's 28 millimeter, which you would think is the obvious thing because 28 millimeter is like the bread and butter of Games Workshop nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most appealing scale for people that like the models.
And with that news, they actually did also mention we want people to be able to use their old armies if they wish, or to start new ones, or to add new miniatures to old armies, whatever they want. Yeah,
that's what got me excited about the square bases. That they confirming that. I mean, if they just say it's going to be square base, it could be anything. But then when they say that you can use your old armies, that's just fantastic.
And that means that if they were just to release some really cool characters or a new unit, you could just slot it right in your existing army if you want to. Which is great.
So I'm like, hopes are that they're gonna be releasing like a big Kislev release first thing, and if they do that, I'll just buy like an entire infantry army of Kislev and then use my cavalry that I have already.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Those models are great as is, even though they have a bit age to them now. But that might mean that they are releasing some cool new models of the same units you have. So you can just bulk them out or have, like, this is the new unit, this is the old unit, and they're going to separate them because they look a bit different or their horses are a bit larger or something like that.
Yeah, probably I'll do like an infantry army of Kislev and then I'll just buy a new army of whatever I don't have.
I'm hoping that they're doing a multi-box for the Shattered Empire, that you just like have different hats depending on where they come from.
Yeah.
And the rest are just like the Empire Militia box.
That plume is Middenheimer plume. You can see that from miles away. That's going to be really interesting to see what they do with the Empire.
Yeah, but it would be a fantastic opportunity to like do a State Trooper box and a militia box and just have, as I said, jokingly said, but it is an alternative. Just have like a different hat or a different armband, or how armies actually used to differentiate themselves in the olden days or in the 1600s even.
You just need to put a twig in the has, Chris.
Yeah, or a leek.
Middenheimers are skins. No shirt
Yeah.
from Middenheim. So no.
Then they have no shoes from one of them, and like the Starlanders have no shoes because it's too poor. But possibly lucky halfling or something. Yeah. We are just a bit giddy still. I think you just want to. This kind of reinvigorated our group chat because it's been like posting, "Are you there?" pretty much, and anyone just posting like one sentence or a picture or something, and there's nothing. And then this news hit, and there was like 3 days of chat just from an article.
Yeah, but also like in every media, I think regarding fantasy, like I see a lot of people going like, I haven't played fantasy in a long time and I want to get into fantasy. They don't like mention the article, but I think it's like a big help for people getting back into fantasy now.
Yeah.
Especially if they say that you can use your old minutes, then there's nothing stopping people from buying things now and using them later. So.
Exactly. And some of them can be bought in really nice discounted like the Broken Realms boxes or the starter sets for Age of Sigmar, because there's a dwarf one, there's a dark elf one, there's another dark elf one with a dragon and spearman, and those are great just to buy and have in your closet until time comes, so to speak.
Yeah. And then the next point, rules. What kind of rules will it be? And they said it will be totally new rules or 8th edition. And they said both. And they said that they will try and just make a continuation of the rules that we know and taking into account all the other rules. So essentially a 9th edition.
Yeah. With the exception of the first and to some extent second editions were more role-playing games with miniatures and a tabletop war game.
Yeah,
so they will do a mix, take the cherry pick from 3rd to 8th, which is great because I know that at least one of the podcasts that we know of thought that they should just relaunch 8th edition because the books were already there, and then maybe add new books.
Terrible idea. Terrible.
Yeah, I think no one in the hobby community would be able to agree on what should actually be in that book if that was the case.
Yeah.
So we better just sort of start it all over.
Yeah, I think now that they had some time in between as well, and they've learned some stuff, I hope we get a really nice and polished edition. And I mean, since you can use all your own models, it's going to bring the warring factions of editions together, I think, when it launches. And 6th and 8th edition players will live in harmony and play this game. And then maybe either of the editions will go like, yeah, well, this is cool, but kind of like the old edition more. And I feel like, I mean, I love 6th edition. I'm really glad that I'm getting a chance to play it now. But when a new edition comes, I'll probably play the new edition most of the time, just casual gaming.
Yep.
But I would really love to have like an event a year where I play 6th and just revisit 6th.
Yeah, just because there's a new edition, it has never stopped people from playing the old editions if they prefer them. Because as someone we know that's a mutual acquaintance to us, Trent reminds us that hasn't been a good release of Warhammer Fantasy since the mid-90s.
Yeah.
So that's fine too. There's no one. You stick with the edition you like. That's how it is.
Yeah, I'm just really glad that there's something they'll be able to unite all the players.
Yeah.
Even if you think the edition will be worse, at least you can play with other people, hopefully.
Yeah. And if we're gonna say this as a big if you really, really hate this edition, play an old edition with lovely, nice new models.
Yeah, definitely.
But we doubt that will happen. It will be good. It has to be. They can't do this. Oh, sorry. So, as someone actually had to ask, they will not be renaming the orcs, which is nice.
Yeah, which, and that's a great thing because a lot of people are like, well, this is the new game workshop and they suck and they will suck whatever they do. But now they're coming at us pretty cool, actually. And not being like all copyright lawyers and everything. And I mean, this is a good indication that they will keep borrowing from like generic fantasy settings to enrich their own setting, which is like this main strength of fantasy. Like there's so much taken from mythology and just folklore and Tolkien that creates the universe of fantasy. And if they just like go, nope, you gotta trademark everything, then you don't get that rich setting.
Yeah, because as you all listeners might know, and we know that we at least play for the setting mainly. We like the rule set, sure, of 6th edition, but it's also the setting of 6th edition that's really nice.
Yeah.
Which is also nice that it's not set at the end times or even the Storm of Chaos of 6th edition, but it's set quite a few hundred years before that.
Well, I just want to say also that like we guessed this, or I remember I said that this would be a great place to set the game.
Yeah.
Like the Age of the Three Emperors, right before the Great War of Chaos. It's like, because it is like a perfect place to set it, because like you have all the factions that are almost the same as they were before, but slightly different. So you still know what you get, but it's something fresh. And like it has historical like backing of it. So like it's in the setting. They don't have to come up with some new crazy shit like an alternative universe to the end times or post end times apocalypse or something.
Yeah. And it's this is what they pretty much did with the Heresy as well. They just took that little snippet of lore that was some of the battles that has been in the Heresy era, and just we're gonna write an entire book about this now.
Yeah,
and
turn into 40 books.
Yeah, but that is probably a good place to start with the old world, and not have it set, as you also said, in the current quote unquote timeline. You just have some nuggets to build on and just write the story from there.
Yeah, because as we said also when we did the Great War of Chaos thing, is that it's like it's mentioned everywhere, this thing that happened, but the specifics of it is so vague that you can basically create anything in that space.
Yeah. And as we mentioned, that there wasn't only things going on in the old world. We have the entire battles, or all of the battles on Ulthuan between the Dark Elves, the Chaos Marauders, and the High Elves.
Yeah.
And then Kari leading part of the armies. And that could probably be an entire campaign book in itself. And just have all different campaign books building up to the Siege of Prague and the battles for Kislev.
When was the? I guess that was a long time ago. When was the Skaven versus Lizardmen thing and Pestilence and that?
Well, that's in the Lustria supplement, if nothing else.
Yeah, I remember it was set before the current time, but I don't know how far back. It can be hundreds of years or thousands of years. I mean, it's rats versus lizards. Can be set anytime.
Yeah, and one of them are mystical walking lizards, and the other ones are ratmen that doesn't exist. So.
Yeah. I was actually reading a book now. Speaking of Horus Heresy, it's a guy that's written a bunch of Horus Heresy books that I really do not like. Nick Kime has written a lot of Salamander books, and they are all really boring, in my opinion. So this is the last of the Dwarf trilogy, and I was like, I kept it for a long time because I was like, oh shit, I don't really want to finish this book because I don't like this author because of his Salamander work. But then I started reading it, and it's awesome. He's great at writing dwarves, and apparently, in my opinion, not that great at writing Salamanders. So I've really been enjoying that. And that's also set like, I don't know, 1,000 years before the Empire is founded. But the dwarves are just the same. So I'm glad that my dwarves will just be, you can just slot them into any time, basically, in Warhammer, and they'll work.
The only thing you have to change around is your usage of black powder, pretty much.
That I don't use.
Yeah, exactly. But if you were, you could just, I'm going to play in this era now. I'm just going to leave my cannons at home or my thunderers at home. Yeah. Just use quarrels instead, or rangers, or ballistas, bolt throwers.
Yeah.
So it's great.
I'm super excited about the setting.
Yeah. And so, bases. Are you sure they're going to be square?
Yes, Chris.
Yeah.
But what about rectangles? Octagon?
An octagon would be bad because that's definitely not a square, but a rectangle is a square.
Yeah, maybe they would just be like long.
This is not an equal-sided square, something like that. Who knows?
But yeah, they will be square. That'll be great. And yeah, we'll see if they change the sizes, because that's another thing people have been saying, that it would be nice to have bigger bases to do a bit more dynamic posing. We'll see.
Yeah, for that reason, just as I mentioned quite a lot this episode before, have bases where all of the models at least fit on them. Even if you look at 25 mil squares and some of the Chaos Warriors.
Yeah, the new ones, like I put them on 25 mils, but they barely fit. Like I have to put them exactly where they're gonna stand.
Yeah, and then you have to number them so you don't misplace them in a unit. And
yeah, that's actually the only unit that I've ever numbered the underside of.
Yeah, I am still working through my. And it's not abandoned the project, but I'm still working through on how the hell I'm going to do it with Lumineth. Because they got that post that's wider, at least wider than the 20 millimeter square base, unless you put like the toes on the back foot on the edge of the base and the heel of the front foot on the edge of the base.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm probably gonna do something entirely custom come autumn, but we'll see. Because I really love those spearmen so much.
Yeah, they're really cool. Just a few tweaks and they're perfect.
Yeah. Oh, you just imagine what they can do with spearmen these days, or any kind of infantry in units with modern.
Yeah,
design.
it's also interesting because they've like gone back more to monopose models, or like they're not all the same post, but you get like
You get limited
models.
poses in a unit.
Yeah. Because they were all one post, and then they did multi-post models, starting with the militia. But now they're going back to like specific poses. And
no, just reminded me of one of the plastic dwarf kits, the warrior kit, when you have to, where they could have just put the entire body together, but they decided to have that ball join in the middle of the dwarf between the torso and the legs.
Oh yeah,
the
ugly dwarfs. They have their own charm. 1 in 10 actually looks good. The right combination of parts.
Yeah, when you manage to line it up perfectly.
Yeah. That's why I only have metal dwarfs in my army.
Yeah, fair enough. There's also I've been going through some of the models in the Dominion box, and they're great models when they assemble, but some of them are basically so this middle part that goes through the entire body is a foot, and then there's a bit of plastic, and there's a head.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's the same with the new Chaos stuff.
Yeah,
it's just like his sword on his hip connecting with the plastic part up to his elbow. Like what? Then it fits together perfectly when you put it together. And like that's also a very impressive thing with their new stuff. It's like the seams in the plastic go in places where they won't be seen, like under the shoulder pads instead of straight through them on the top.
Yeah,
which is very impressive.
There's for the Stormcast, I think there's one seam that isn't really hidden that well as it could be, but it is in a fold in the tabard, something like that on the they call the flag bearer.
Yeah.
And I mean, when there's one of those, that's fine. That's easy to fix. Earlier, it's been like pretty much every model having joints like that.
Yeah. Just super clear mold lines. You have to clear out. Yeah. Well, we gotta hand it to Games Workshop. They've always been like in the forefront of creating miniatures.
Yeah, definitely. So, speaking of miniatures, we have one set of terrain that's complementing the set in the new starter box. So you can't get the weird soul well, or whatever it is, separately, but you can get lovely walls that looks like they're being built. So you can make a in-progress city or building, like if you're doing a table set in a ruined city or in the Border Princess, would fit very well in those.
Yeah, when I heard the releasing terrain, I was like, oh, cool, it'll be some cool orc terrain or some swamp terrain. And then I was like, oh, buildings that kind of look like the old buildings.
Yeah, but I am quite thinking of getting some of these because they're easy to integrate in other projects. And then you get some lovely statues, and statues are always useful because you can change them up to look like different cultures.
Yeah,
quite easily. These you have to change up a bit because they got thunderbolts and stormcast heads and stuff like that, though. Sadly. But I do like the work in progress style of these buildings. They're not ruins or intact buildings, but they really should make more intact buildings for game tables.
Yeah, this is a bit of a hassle to use them in the game, but yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah, but if you used, I mean, remember the old Empire Manor kits?
Yeah.
That was one of the best kits to just have like scatter buildings for either build a farmstead or a small keep or
Yeah,
a
they were
church
very characterful. It's true.
and then all of a sudden they were discontinued and cost like 2,500. Speaking of 2,500, they are releasing 2 new dragons, or well, one dragon that you can assemble in 2 different ways. I think it will be.
Yeah, 1 dragon, 2 Disney heads.
It's a Mufasa and a Scar. Oh wait.
Yeah, really cool dragon bodies, but I'm not a fan of the heads. So
I'm thinking that you could probably do a bit with adding a fang or 2 and a different paint job for the faces, and at least the scarred head will be great.
Yeah, they look too characterful.
The other one is a bit too smug for my liking.
Yeah, they're not really like, because the whole thing with dragons is that they're reptilian and like non-human looking.
Yeah. But I am going to get one because I need one. And I am going to put an elf riding one of them. That's just how it is.
You said that's an emperor dragon? It's big enough?
That is just a small one. I've no idea. It's probably a bit bigger than the Carmine Dragon, but we'll see what the rules are for dragons in the new edition of the game and in older editions of the game. Well, I can't really use a Carmine Dragon in 6th edition, so it's just a regular dragon that is 3 times as big.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. I've got a Carmine Dragon as well that I need to figure out how to fit on a 50 mil base. Just like drilling something into the tree trunk and putting a weight there.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to change the base. I'm just going to put it on a larger base and just have it like that. And just put a marker where the 50 millimeter 50 by 50 millimeters zone on it. That's the actual physical representation of the model. And the rest is just, the gaming representation of the model, and the rest is just for show.
Yeah, or you could, 75 by 50 maybe, if you cut off the size of the tree trunk.
Yeah, it's at 75 by 75 should work.
Yeah.
But then it's not that much bigger, and the only thing that will happen in that case is you just mark out the middle. This is the 50 millimeters. That's the actual dragon. When you charge something in the side, so you don't get an unfair advantage. It's probably something. Oh, I want to use this dragon when you talk to your opponent. It's fine. We're gonna play it like this, so you don't just. Oh, this dragon has a massive. It has a 10 centimeter frontage that just charges into a unit, and most of the entire unit.
It's always a disadvantage to have a bigger basis. It's the amount of people that can attack back, because you can always stack with your charge anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It will be fine, Chris. Build your dragons. Send them towards my dwarves.
Yeah. If nothing else, it will be a really cool dragon. That's pretty much all that matters, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so we're super excited about this. We still don't know when it will come out. They are releasing the Kislev, Total War 3 with Kislev, like this winter, I guess, around Christmas.
I think it's soon trademark, that kind of release date.
I mean, you think that they would try and kind of ride the hype wave of that? So like a year after that, would that be plausible, or do you think it will be longer than that?
Well, I have no idea. I think they will do Heresy before that, at least. So if Heresy this year, it might be Old World next year. But you never know. There might be another game that they not released for long, like a certain Starship Battle game or something like that. Or they just decide to expand on Titanicus and add in orcs or something like that. You never know. Yeah. Might just do it epic, make it epic or something.
Sure. Just gotta say also that so I joined the Facebook group Warhammer Dual World, which is a pretty big group now, but it's a very strange group to be part of, because you would expect it would just be filled with fans that are like really hyped about this. There's so much negativity on that group, and people are like projecting their bad thoughts about this game, like, oh no, it's gonna be shit, and there's not gonna be any releases for it, and it's gonna be dead on arrival.
Yeah, but these are probably the same people or the same kind of people that say the exact same thing about Age of Sigmar or about 40k or about Necromunda or about the Heresy, Age of Darkness, or every other game that they're releasing.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah,
So much hate on the internet.
Yeah, and have any of their games actually really failed recently?
I mean, when was the last time you played Lost Patrol, Chris?
Yeah, but on the other hand, when was the last time I played Cursed City?
Oh, touche.
Yeah, but yeah, as long as it's not getting Cursed City'd, it should be fine.
I think it's too big. Like, it's too big to not make a massive deal out of it for Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Like, people are saying that since it's going to be specialist games, then it's going to have like the exact same release cycle as Necromunda. I really don't believe that. That would be impossible. It's too big.
If they were only doing characters, it could work. If they were doing entire armies, it would be. That might explain why it's like a 6-year lead up to the entire release. So they have stuff in the backlog to release.
If they only do characters, but also do made to order on the old stuff, that would be just as good to me, to be honest. Because you can't release a game and not have the opportunity to buy their things.
But speaking of minutes, we have one more thing before we wrap this up, and that is to mention we haven't forgotten the challenge. We're still watching it. We're still not participating because, well, you know me, I have a painting slump that's lasting forever, and it's too warm. I'm gonna blame the warmth, even though it's the middle of the winter. But we could mention have some honorable mentions at least, and there will be a proper go through later when we record next time, I think.
Yeah, it's always great to see the posts on Instagram. It's amazing. I'm really glad because this is even though you don't pay that much, Chris, this is your doing to set this up, and it was a fantastic idea. It's great to see people painting old world stuff.
Yeah, and we have been lax on what counts as old world stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it gets people painting.
Andrea painted a lovely Balrog for the battle game. And it was Monster Month, so I figured it would be allowed. And it's such a great model, the Balrog.
Yeah, that's really old as well.
Yeah, it was released back in when the first version of the game.
Movie, yeah, 2000, 2001 or something.
Yeah, they still had a guy from Denmark working at G-Dubs Gothenburg back then. He was the one who held intro games with me in that version. What was it called? Lord of the Rings back then. Was it called anything else?
I think so.
I remember that he actually defeated me with the orcs, which is not supposed to do with the intro games. But Bruce painted a lovely, what's it called, the orc shaman for the last month. No, this month. No, wait, May. That's May. Where the hell had time gone? For May, he painted a orc shaman, which is really, really nice. And Emil painted a lovely cannon. Well, for War Machine Month. Then he painted a lot of Strigoi for the May challenge because I was Wizard. So as we said, we haven't forgotten. That's just we need some time to look through it properly, and we might even do a nice little, if people allow, of course. If you don't allow, write in. But we want to make a gallery with some of the models for the end of the year to have look at the awesome stuff our listeners made, kind of thing.
Yeah, and even we are terrible at acknowledging your efforts. Keep posting because we do look at these and it inspires us as well. It's awesome. So keep painting. You heard the Games Workshop. You can use your old models for the new game. So just keep painting. It won't go to waste. And you could even, you can still play the older editions, but with the new edition as well. You can still use the things you're painting up now for our challenges.
Yeah, and of course, this is all provided you didn't burn your army when they discontinued.
Oh, fantastic! I still love that guy did that. It was an event.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those fixed points in the timeline, so to speak. We're just rambling, aren't we?
Yeah, I think it's time to wrap up before we lose the quality, if there ever was any.
Well, I think we lost the quality about 15 minutes ago when we started ramble, but who cares? It's been nice to just sit and chat a bit and hobby a bit again.
Yeah, just finished my White Dwarf. Might post up a picture when we release this episode.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going on a bit of a into the forest trip, but we're in a cabin, so I will bring the computer, and this will probably be out in a day or two. So when you listen to this during the weekend, you probably know that when we recorded it by that information.
You'll know the Chris is being eaten by wolves in the forests of Värmland.
Well, there's always a possibility. There are bears as well. So.
Take your pick.
But as I said, we're gonna be in a cabin in a house, pretty much. So we're probably safe. I can't say that much is not being eaten by mosquitoes though, because they like me for some reason. But yeah, I'm gonna say that this is it for episode 37 of the Oral Lips.
This is the end.
Yeah. Ominous last words.